Hello everybody, today we are going to discuss My Father Travels by Dilip Chitre. So Dilip Chitre, who has written in Marathi, who has written in English, who has been a painter as well. His poems have also been included in Dalit poetry. So here in this poem, which is a free verse, and free verse means which is without any rhyme, rhythm or meter. And perhaps this is to convey the condition of the father, which is the life which is say rhymeless life he is leading. So through this poem or through this rhymeless pattern or free verse, perhaps he is bringing out the condition of the father in a more emphatic manner. And this poem is actually, if we talk of the major themes in this poem, we can say the poem talks of alienation, the poem talks of rootlessness, the poem talks of isolation. It is also about the crumbling human values in the modern world, that age-old values, the culture and the tradition where all people were respected and paid, say, due respect. So with the modernization, with the urban culture, perhaps those age-old values are crumbling and disappearing from our society. So it presents a pathetic state of an old man, a father who is quite old in this present world, which is devoid of any human sentiments or perhaps any regard and respect for the older generation. So father here is actually the representative of the older generation. So though we can say, as the title is My Father Travels, so there comes an individual sentiment, but it is not just an individual or subjective poem. Rather, this My Father has become symbolic of the whole old generation. So in that way, this poem has a universal appeal. It conveys a larger idea. It is on a, we can say, comprehensive scale. It is all inclusive. That is what we can say about this poem. So let's see how the poet has conveyed this idea here in a very beautiful manner. My father travels on the late evening train, standing among silent commuters in the yellow light. So what the poet is trying to say, that father is returning from his work, that is late evening, that means he works quite late, and in the late evening, that in that age, old age, he is working hard and he is returning by a train. So my father travels on the late evening train. So that means he is working quite hard, even the old age, returning by a train, reaches home very late, standing among silent commuters in the yellow light. So standing among silent, we can say alliteration has been used, sir sound has been repeated, and it is there in the next line as well. So it is an example of alliteration, right? Standing among silent commuters, so as an example of alliteration. So, and the poet is saying yellow light. So this yellow light is to state the misery, the pathetic condition, the wretched condition that the father is in. He feels like it's a group of commuters. So commuters means those who commute, those who shuffle, like we can say, who do up and down journeys from a place to their work and then back to their home. So it's about those people. So standing among silent commuters. So commuters are all silent. It means nobody is talking to anybody. They are all strange, and they perhaps they don't want to share anything with the others. They behave like they are strangers and they behave like strangers. There is no perhaps understanding or no sharing of any emotions or feelings among those people. They, though it's a crowd, it's a group, but even in the crowd they are all isolated, they are all separated from others, all dissociated from others. So that is what the poem actually tells us. And yellow light is of course about the misery and the wretchedness of the people, especially the father, one who is quite old, and in that old age he is working hard, traveling among the strangers who don't want to talk to each other, don't want to share anything, their feelings or emotions with each other. Even among the crowd, they are all isolated. Their state is all miserable. So this is what the poet tells us here in these lines. Suburbs slide past his unseeing eyes. So suburbs slide, again alliteration as I already said. So suburbs slide past his unseeing eyes. That means while commuting, while traveling in the train, the things, the sights, they pass by very fast. Just as when we travel, we see things passing very fast in the opposite direction. So here the suburbs, they pass, they slide, they move very fast. His unseeing eye. Why? Because he is not noticing. Though he can see, but still perhaps they evoke no emotion, they evoke no passion, they evoke no excitement, they evoke no feelings in his heart, as it's quite a routine, it is quite usual for him, and so he is not moved at all, he is not affected at all by seeing those sights and places. They move by as they travel, but the father remains unaffected, because they have seen all this and they see all this daily. It's quite usual to them. So that is what happens to the old man, that they are like in that old age father, one who is returning home, who wants to reach home. Here these things are no more we can say of no more importance to the father. They hold no value for father. They simply pass by, and they remain unnoticed for him. His shirt and pants are soggy, and his black raincoat is falling apart. So his shirt and pants are soggy, that is sodden. We can say soggy, sodden, squelchy, all moist and humid because it's rainy season. So the clothes, because of the rain or that humid atmosphere, they become all humid, damp and dank. So his shirt and pants are soggy and sodden, all moist, all damp due to that humid atmosphere, and he is wearing a black overcoat. So this black perhaps denotes that the life of father is also devoid of all colors. There is no color in his life, perhaps in that old age it has become colorless, only black color remains there. That's what it says. And what is stained with mud. So even that black raincoat is stained with mud. It is all muddy, it is all, we can say, filthy, we can say all blotched with mud and all. His bag stuffed with books, and he is carrying a bag which is all full of books, all stuffed and full with books, is falling apart. So that bag is falling apart, but perhaps he doesn't care for all those things. He simply wants to return home. His appearance doesn't matter, that clothes are all muddy and filthy, even the raincoat is all muddy, it's all stained, but that doesn't matter. A person doesn't care for anything in the old age. So father is like, he doesn't care for all such things, his appearance, his clothes, whether they are filthy or dirty or stained or damp or dank, it doesn't matter. The bag is stuffed with, it's like full to the top and is falling apart. So it is perhaps showing the crumbling and we can say deteriorating, degenerating life of father as well. That father he is also like crumbling at the old age now, perhaps to the we can say in that declining state. So it denotes the condition of father as well. His eyes dimmed by age fade homeward through the humid monsoon night. So his eyes dimmed by age. So being old, the eyesight has gone weak. So dimmed by age, that too fade homeward. So even like though when we reach home after a journey, when we are nearing home, our eyes light up, but here even that doesn't kindle any hope or doesn't kindle any excitement in the eyes of the father. They simply fade homeward. It means there is no excitement or there is no joy that okay, he's about to reach home, he's about to reach his destination. Even that feeling, that nearness doesn't kindle any emotion or any excitement in father's heart. They simply fade in that humid monsoon. So though the atmosphere is all humid, it is monsoon night, but the father is like not say so excited to reach his home, or in that hope of reaching home, he is not at all excited or thrilled by the thought. Now I can see him getting off the train like a word dropped from a long sentence. A very beautiful simile which has gained him, of course, quite international acclaim, we can say. So poet has used simile here in this line, and it's a very beautiful comparison by the poet. As I said, this poem has actually earned him international acclaim, national acclaim. So here he is comparing what the father gets off the train, and it is just like a word dropped from a long sentence, as if the word is no more relevant to the sentence. Similarly, father perhaps is no more relevant to the train, to the people there. They don't bother or they don't care. He is perhaps no more like to the crowd of those people traveling in the train. He is no more relevant to them. So life has become perhaps irrelevant. The life has become unwanted and uncared for. So this is what happens. Just like if you drop a word from a sentence, and if that is irrelevant, it doesn't make any impact or effect on the sentence. Similarly, father who has got off the train, it doesn't make any impact or it doesn't affect the people there. The world of the train doesn't affect. So that's how he has compared this thing. He hurries across the length of the grey platform. So even the platform has been presented here as grey, aging platform. Like by this platform he has often made his journeys, and now with him this platform has also become very old, so it's quite dull. So this also shows that dullness and what passivity of the feelings and emotions, that as the father is no more excited, though he has reached the platform, he is about to reach home, but now even reaching there, that platform, like even reaching there, even getting down on the platform, there is no hope in his heart, or there is no excitement in his heart. Like father, this platform has also gone grey, so it's also dull, and it's also it has also we can say grown aged and such. So there is no, we can say, feelings, or there is no emotions here for reaching the platform or reaching home. Crosses the railway line and enters the lane. So he crosses the railway line, he enters the lane, enters the street where his house is. His chappals are sticky with mud, but he hurries on, though the mud is there on the chappals, like they are sticking onto the chappals, but he doesn't care, because when in the rainy season you hurry, you walk fast, what happens, the chappal or the slippers with a sticky with mud, when you flip flop your way to a place, what happens, that they all come on to your clothes, they stick to your clothes as well, so they scatter all over your clothes. So but father, he doesn't care at all, it doesn't matter to him at all, he simply wants to reach home anyhow, somehow, it is like that. So he hurries on, now he has reached the platform, he hurries on, goes to his home. Home again, I see him drinking weak tea and eating a stale chapati, reading a book. So even at home, there's nobody waiting for him. He is not like, it's not that somebody is eagerly waiting for him and would like him to come home early and would prepare some tea for him or make some food for him. No, there is nobody cares for him, like as if he is given a weak tea, he is given a stale chapati. That doesn't mean that he is given a stale chapati, but the poet is trying to convey the idea that nobody is there waiting for him, that he would also be excited or he would also be thrilled to reach home and wait for getting at home. There is no such thing. It is simple, like routine is quite dull at home. Even the routine thing, like okay, he takes a tea, he eats his food or meal, whatever it is, but there is no warmth or no affection, that with some affection it is being done for him, with some excitement it is being done for him, that some happiness or care is there. No, it's not. That's why it is weak tea, just a part of routine. Okay, he has come, so he should be given a tea or he should be given meal, so it's a part of routine, there is no warmth or care. So that's why this weak and stale. And he takes a book and he just immerses himself into that book, so which is generally the routine with the old generation or people, that okay, taking a book, they just lose themselves into that. So he takes a book and he goes into the toilet to contemplate man's estrangement from man-made world. And then he goes into the toilet, and there he feels and he realizes and he ponders about the estrangement, the alienation, the isolation of a man from this man-made world. That we ourselves created this world, we ourselves made this world, but in this world, in the old age, we find ourselves isolated and alienated. We find ourselves separated, just as the father here, who is quite away, aloof and different and isolated from even the family members, that they don't care for him. Even in his own home, even in his own house, he is alone and he is alienated. Nobody is concerned about him. There is no care and no affection for him. So in the toilet, which is perhaps quite separating oneself in one's own home, so there he ponders about that man's estrangement in this man-made world, that though the world is created by we people, but we ourselves get estranged, we ourselves get isolated, we ourselves get alienated in this world of our own making. So coming out, he trembles at the sink. So when he comes out of the toilet, he trembles, he shivers, thinking of all those things, this isolation, this rootless, this alienation. So he trembles thinking about all that, the cold water running over his brown hands. So brown hands showing what the pathetic state, the aged condition, the weak and deteriorating condition. So the cold water, when comes down on his hand, he trembles, there are few droplets cling the graying hair on his wrist. So what the few droplets, they seem to be clinging to his graying hair. So what does this mean actually? That water, which is symbol of life and graying hair, which is symbol of old age and declining age. So some droplets of life like clinging on to the graying hair, that is perhaps he is on the verge of passing away, perhaps like only life is holding on in that manner, just as the droplets are holding on to his graying hair. Similarly, the life is holding on to him in that way only, just by some drops. In that way is very, we can say, very thin a link, a connection between life and himself, perhaps, that he is in that state. And his sullen children have often refused to share jokes and secrets with him. It means sullen, sulky, bad-tempered, the children are like that, and perhaps they, now it's about the generation gap, that the children don't share their feelings and emotions with their father, or there is a gap, there is a difference of, we can say, ideology and understanding between the parents and the children, and that don't like at all to share their feelings and emotions with their father. Perhaps father doesn't understand their feelings, and the children perhaps don't understand what the father wants or what the old generation wants. So there is a gap. There is a gap between the old generation and the young generation. They are sullen about their parents, sulky and bad-tempered with their parents. They treat them in that way. They don't share their secrets and joys with their parents, with the old generation. He will now go to sleep. He will now go to sleep listening to the static on the radio. And what now? Perhaps this is the daily routine of the father, and father will now go to sleep. And this is what happens with the old generation, with the old people. There is a dull routine at home, monotonous, mechanical routine everywhere in life. So now he will go to sleep listening to the static on the radio, and perhaps that the sound on the radio is only intercepting a disturbing noise, nothing more than that. Perhaps it hinders the thoughts of the old man, perhaps even that is like intervening the sleep or the feelings that are emerging in his heart. So they are perhaps causing a disturbance, nothing else. That the radio is not providing any joy, or they are not listening to it to involve themselves in something joyful. Rather, it is perhaps a part of routine, and it is only creating disturbance in the flow of thoughts and ideas that surge in their mind and heart. So dreaming of his ancestors and grandchildren, thinking of nomads entering a subcontinent through a narrow pass. So now he'll go to sleep thinking of, dreaming of his ancestors. So perhaps in his sleep on his bed, he will think of the ancestors, that how it was earlier, the kind of value system existed in those times, how the old people, how they respected and regarded their elders, the older generation, their parents, what a kind of feelings and regard was there, concern and care was there for the old generation. And now the young generation, the grandchildren, how they are. So what a kind of difference is there between that generation and the future generation. He is dreaming of all that and thinking of the nomads entering the subcontinent from a narrow pass. And it seems like what? As if now the generation, the future is of the nomads. Nomads who don't stay at one place for long. As soon as or as long as they get their daily bread, when they are able to have their livelihood, they stay there, and after that they are gone, they shift to some other place. So he thinks of nomads, like the future generation is perhaps like that, and it is entering the world, it is entering the subcontinent through a narrow pass. So perhaps that we are like not to stay there for long. We are like nomads, and they are here for a certain time and they have to pass, they have to move away. So this is how the poet has brought out the, we can say, a poor state of the older generation, the crumbling human values, the dehumanized world, and where there is no respect and regard for the old generation. And all this has been presented in a free verse. This poem is free verse, and so the poet is not bound in the limitation of any rhythm, rhyme or meter. One can express one's feelings in a free way, and the poet has done that, and it is one of the very popular, very famous poem by Dilip Chitre. So I hope you got it very clearly. So I'll come up with more such poems, more such things on vocab and grammar and other aspects of language and literature. So stay tuned, keep watching. Till then, thank you very much.